Sometimes we get involved in something and it overwhelms us because we're looking on how to handle the situation we have. But if you can, I'll tell you what, attitude and energy overcomes everything. So if you're in that point in your life and what you're doing, you have to do one thing, and that is make a change. Making a change is not just saying you're going to do it and doing it. It's not that easy because you're into habits. Look at yourself in the morning if you haven't thought about this. If you're a guy or a gal and you put on a pair of pants or slacks or something, you always put one leg in first. And it's all like, perhaps with me, it's the left leg. I put the left leg in always first. And there's no right or wrong way of doing it. That's just habit with it. And the same thing as putting your shoes on. You put usually one shoe on first, and then the other one. You do it that way every time. So it's simple things, but they can become so ingrained about us. It's folding your arms, folding your hands. Try doing it just opposite. See how uncomfortable it is. But with other people, it's comfortable because they've got into the habit of doing it that way too. So habits are there, and they're so ingrained, it takes a conscientious effort to change them. So change is not an event, it's a process. And so if you want to change your life, if you want to improve your financial condition, if you want to do something about your health, for not only what issues you may have, but the issues you don't want to have, then you need to make a change and get used to opening that bottle of product we have and taking that amount or two or three or four products every single day. I take probably a dozen with what I do because I realize that food is 75% deficient in nutrition from what it was about 100, 150 years ago. It's because the soils are over-farmed, and a lot of those nutrients are, especially inorganic, and they can't be recreated in the soil. And then because we fertilize, the fertilizer makes a hostile environment and a lot of microbes, and we spray insecticides and herbicides on the ground, and it kills the microbes in the soil. So then they can't convert a lot of the elements in the soil into our food. Now, those are things that we're talking about, and that's all evolved since, as Laura said, when I had 40 years ago, when I had that request, and based on a discovery I'd made, and I went into personal care products. I was naive, as most of people are, in that I thought you didn't even need a supplement. You got everything you need out of food because doctors told you that. But now I know that doctors know almost nothing about nutrition. When I go to a doctor, it's quite an experience for them, not for me, because I know so much often that they don't know about their profession. And now it's not that I know how to do a procedure better than they do. I don't. But I know the alternatives that are more successful and more effective, but they're found in nutraceuticals, natural medicines, and natural complementary medicines with it. They have no idea what I'm talking about. I can say names to them that, well, they can tell you about some prescription drugs and names. I'll tell them names of common things that are in products that we need or consume, and they have no idea what I'm talking about because I'm not talking about the specific ingredient. So I don't know why I'm going off on all this, but the point of it is, if I break my leg, I'm going to the doctor. But about 85% of the people who go to the doctor will get better no matter what the doctor does. So we have a sort of a paranoia where we go to doctor too much for too many things. And as a result, if you go in and you have the flu or something, they give you an antibiotic. Well, flu's a virus, and antibiotics don't work on viruses. So what does it do? It builds up an antibiotic resistance. So when you do get a serious bacterial infection, then your your immune system is so compromised that the antibiotic isn't effective. And then the repeated use of antibiotics are continually trying to develop new ones because the body just keeps adapting to them to fight them and become resistant to them. And so if you look at medicine, yeah, it serves a good purpose. There's no doubt about that. And if you need something about heart surgery, of course, those things. But how would you sooner not have heart surgery? That's probably very possible today. When you look at a few things like what resveratrol can do for the heart, a study from the University of Connecticut says it's cardioprotective. And they said if you have a heart attack, the damage comes after the heart attack. But if you're taking resveratrol in sufficient quantities, then the damage does not occur. Sort of like basketball, no harm, no foul, with that kind of thing. And then there's other things you can do for the brain or for the heart, and they have a lot of effects on other things like the brain. Brushing your teeth actually can damage the brain and damage your heart, because if you get the periodontal diseases with it, those infections go to both, and your chance of if you don't have good dental hygiene, your chance of having a heart attack is much greater. Isn't that amazing? And so I could ramble on forever on all of these things that I've learned to know. And in some ways, it's great because I want to impart the things that I know, but I don't want to make an intellectual egghead out of you. I want you to be a very effective marketer. Somebody has to fly that fighter plane that we've designed, and I'm in the management and the maintenance of it and preparing it and arming it so you can go out and do battle in this world. And so with that, I'm trying to make it so it's user-friendly for you. Now, if you think user-friendly when you're coming to Mower Mountain, you're going to find out everything you never wanted to know about some of these products that we have, but they're pretty outstanding with what we're doing. I'm going to make a big announcement about CBD because it's been such a difficult thing. While it's been approved, the FDA hasn't approved it, and it still is a restricted. Even though CBD, you don't get hallucinogenic or high. It takes the THC that's in cannabis, and the variety we use has such a minuscule amount of it, it's insignificant with it. So, but it's all put in, one size fits all. And there's about 40 different strains of cannabis, and many of them don't even have THC in it with it. But CBD is there. It's an oil. Oils stick together, as if you haven't noticed that. So when you take it, we recommend you swish it around in your mouth a little bit for a minute or two, and that helps enzymes mix in with it and things like that, and improves the absorption of it a fair amount. But it's still wanting. It's still lacking, and so what you ingest is not necessarily what you absorb. So I've been working on that, and I've got the answer, and we're going to announce what that is to make CBD highly effective, highly absorbable. Instead of most of what you put in your body doesn't get utilized, almost all of what you put in your body, we believe you will utilize. Now, that's only one product, but it's a red-hot one right now all over the world, and so you want to bone up on that. But you don't want to learn everything about everything. You want to learn the benefits, not the features, and then you can go out and be effective in what you're doing. So we're going to do that. Then I'm going to futurize for the people that come out, and I've got some, and they're just print-offs of articles, things I've written. They're not what we're going to be putting out in the field, so they're just typed out and written, but I cover a number of different subjects. One of them is going to be the total concept of aging, and that includes ending aging, reversing aging, growing younger, and all of the affiliated parts that go with it, down to specific biological systems that it affects. Now, that's a little mind-boggling to think about all of that. For me, I've got it all in my brain because I work on this thing every day, and so I'm going to show the people that are there and give them pass-outs that really we can't publish because they're so extremely graphic and they tell so much that you have regulatory agencies like the FDA says, oh, you can't advertise that. It's just like vaping. They just cited the biggest vaping company today because they're saying vaping is safer than cigarette smoking, and now they found that it's not. In fact, I heard in Utah we have 57 young people in the hospital right now from vaping. Some have died, and it's happening around the country with it. So you have that kind of thing, and you have an FDA that, you can imagine, allows vaping, allows cigarettes, as dangerous as they are, and these vaping just load it with nicotine, so the kids get addicted to it, with it, and they like it because they hit it with flavor too, so they like the flavor, and the nicotine gives them a craving and a certain high. You see, those kinds of things go on, and here we are. We're talking about, hey, we want to do something to keep dementia or Alzheimer's from occurring in your body. Can you do it? You bet your beppy. It's so easy to do if you know what to use and how to deliver it to the system and the proper proportions of which to use and the support ingredients for it. I know all of that because I'm dedicated to that. So that's just but one example. What about the heart? I can tell you so much about the heart, including the liver. Now, how about the rest of it? How about vision? We're going to have a big article on vision for people who are here, and an article I'm going to present to them, and then we're going to do a presentation, because after all, think of it. If your body is healthy and your brain is healthy and your vision is blurry, it takes a lot away from life, and our vision all degrades as we get older. So I've been reformulating vision from where it was when I first brought it out, with new discoveries that are there, and now we have a super nuke for vision, all in our product that other companies do not have. That other companies might have one of this or one of the other, and most have none of some of these. But with us, we've got the whole mulligan stew. It's all there together. I just have to show you some of those things to do. So if you had a healthy body, a clear thinking mind, and great vision, life becomes a lot better, doesn't it? So those are the things we're working on. We're trying to bridge the gap between science and human needs and provide the products to you that science has discovered, but that may never be available to you, and oftentimes because the extracts aren't extracted. But we have sources to do many of those, and we get them done. And so as DW was telling you about the bomb, well, we have a bombshell that we're going to drop, and it is so revolutionary. If you consider it and you put it together with the age field, I don't want to say too much with it right now, they'll be the two greatest discoveries in the history of human health, and only we have them. So only we have them. And I don't know which is the better, the first or the second. I actually think, well, it's hard. They both have different approaches. So that'll be something interesting for people to see, and we're going to give them the information about it. And I'll tell you what, you'll have to carry people out of the audience on stretchers, because they'll just be so flabbergasted with what we now can do with what we know and what we found and what we're putting together, that if you want to talk about product, which is the foundation of a company, there's no company like us anywhere in the world, and in the entire world. And I would, that's within my nature to do things that way. Thank goodness God has blessed me with that kind of a personality, that kind of a mind and abilities, and being born in this day and age to where these things can be passed around. So this is our moment in time here on the earth, and my moment in time here is to do everything within my power to make your lives better, and that's exactly what I believe, and that's exactly what I'm doing. So I do ask you to believe in me, but don't do it in just false belief. I want to believe, I hope. What I'm doing is believe in me because it's factual. Believe in me because no one else has done it. We have a saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it must be Sisel. And that is really true. But yet when you look at the science and find the things that scientists have discovered, research shows that never gets to the marketplace, it's amazing. But we're bridging that gap. So we're doing all those kinds of things to give you products that when you take them, if you take a product, say you took an omega oil, like Super Omega Plus, and you took it, you say, I don't feel anything from it. Well, if you did, there'd be something wrong with the product, probably, because it's a foundational product and it makes up brain tissue. It also makes up the lining of virtually every cell you have in your body. It's very important for vision. It's really critical for lubricity in joints and on and on. But you don't feel anything at first because it's working on that level. Now you want to feel something? Shazam, take the age pill. That'll happen. And others with it. But I'm not going to go into that too much, but just as I get excited about something and what I'm bringing out here at convention, I'm having trouble not saying too much, even at the conference, because there's so many other things that we are working on right now. And I believe, just to give you an example, I believe that, sorry, DW, I'm only going to have me on for a minute here, I'm rambling, but I believe I have truly found the way to create weight loss in virtually everyone, whether they want to or not, with it. Without, you still have, the FDA says you have to say it either you reduce calories or you increase exercise to make the products work. Okay, that's the legal thing. They'll allow vaping, but they won't allow you to say that this product will do things to the metabolism that burns fat. And it's more complex than that, and quite just really revolutionary. And you'll be seeing, you heard of keto diets, and some work good, but some do a lot of damage. So who do you trust? Trust us. Trust Sisel. Trust the science, because we got it. So for those of you that are coming out, we're having a big contingency fly in from Japan, our biggest market, of course. And a lot of those people are coming over. In fact, as I think half the audience will be Japanese that's there, because they're very into this, and they're great network marketers because they work together as a unit rather than like a lot of us here do as sort of a lone wolf to a degree. But those that work together as a unit, and look at Laura, and look at Marianne and Joe, and it goes on and on. Katie Byler, who never shuts up. And some of those people, they develop big network organizations where the total effects is greater than the sum of the parts. That works in products, and it also works in marketing. So if you're truly looking to make a change in your life, take that evolutionary step, because it's a process, and believe. First you have faith, then you have hope, then you have belief, or well, hope probably first, and then faith, and then belief. And if you take it that far and it's credible to a certain point, then it will turn into knowledge. And with a lot of the people here, we have it turned into knowledge in how to change their lives, how to become more healthier, how to create wealth and prosperity, and have the things in life, the great things in life they see others having, but they can't, but now it's within their grasp to do it. All they have to do is do it. And so with that, and then products to back that up, I want you to be able to live to a great length of life at a very young age and have the resources to live life like it should be. So those are my missions. That's what you won't hear a lot of people with network marketing companies or anyone else really speaking that way, but I'm looking at it as a more complete picture, and that complete picture is you. You are the most important part of our company. Understand we have sensational products and a fantastically good compensation plan and new concepts and new breakthroughs, but all of that is done for you. And without you, it would not be possible. But with you, all things are possible. And so I'm sharing the wealth. I'm not taking money, a certain amount of money for what my needs are. but I'm reinvesting it into your future. And it's in a company that I've set up never to be sold. I don't want it to be sold. The mission is to be followed. I'm working with all that, and I got people like Tom Jr. and then Junior, and some others that are ready to come on, and they will follow that roadmap that I have, because it'll also be a legal roadmap, because I want this thing to go on forever. I want it to be sort of like a dynasty, not my dynasty, your dynasty, a dynasty that can create all of the things that you want in life. So that's the purpose of my existence, and it's the purpose of Sisel's mission to do one of its missions, but a big one. That's our overall mission, is to make you happier, healthier, and wealthier. And if we can do all of that to the nth degree, then you need to do your part, make that change, and then make a change, and then go out and help others to make a change, and then facilitate that success. Facilitate success in them, because they have to make a change, and that's a progress. So if you get them to make a change, then you are their sponsor. They don't know how to do it. Maybe you don't either, but you can always go upline with it, but none are to the company. But upline's the best, so you're all working together as a unit, because upline's getting paid on you. So if you get someone to want to make a change, then you tell them, this isn't an overnight thing, this is a process. But out of that process, where you end up can be someplace you never envisioned you'd ever make it, if you do this thing right. So we have to facilitate your success, and this is how it's done. So those are things. I mean, I was going to get on and say, this morning, I didn't know if I'd be called on or not, but I was going to get on and say, well, I've got a lot to say, but I haven't got much to say today, because I'm saving it for Mower Mountain. But I didn't have much to say compared to what I'm going to say on Mower Mountain.
Tom, you loaded it up today. You loaded it up with some great information. You realize how wise what you just said was about, living life and then having the financial security to enjoy it, and getting younger, staying younger. That was a lot of wisdom right there, buddy.
Well, thank you. It's God-given. God's blessed us and blessed me. And the best thing we can do is share what we have with helping make other people's lives better. And by doing that, you get what you want by helping other people to get what they want, basic fundamentals. So I thank you for that.
Well, Tom, I've got a story that I think I want you to hear, and you can comment at the end on it. And it's one of my buddies that I went to Bible college with, Alan McCamey. And if you remember us talking about him a time or two, but his daughter has got massive challenges, and I mean, she's debilitated to a point to where when she's born, it's just, he can give you all the fancy words, but they said she would never walk, and she does now, and they said a lot of things. And it was just a few months ago, they flew her emergency to St. Louis Children's Hospital, and they said, basically get your funeral arrangements ready. She's going to die. And they could not, they'd given her so much medication through the years. Her bowels were so impacted, they couldn't get any movement whatsoever. And Alan, how many days was she in that hospital? 18? 28 straight days he was there. And, in the hospital with her. Never, I think he walked outside once or twice, but he stayed right by her bed, which is the kind of dad he is. And I can give you all those stories. He finally got fed up with them, Tom, took her out of the hospital, brought her home, and filled her full of the H2 water and several other things as well. And he just called me, and he was so excited one day, almost in tears, because he said she's having a blowout. Now, that's his night term to mean her bowels are moving properly. And,
Yeah, that was... for me, it brings tears to my eyes to hear those kinds of success stories. But for those of you that are out there, let me tell you, I hear thousands of them like that. And in things that we're doing, as a company, and as myself personally, because I want to, sometimes I see somebody with an extreme condition and hear about it from the field, or sometimes even in the news media. And I'll approach those people, not always, but sometimes. I think I could, and tell them, hey, I've got some ideas and some concepts here, and I would, if you'd be interested, let me explain them to you. They might help you. And so I have unmentionable things that I cannot talk about, because I would have government agencies down on me, willing to imprison me, shut my company down because of the good that I've done for people where nothing could be done, and they were doomed to their fate, and now they're living life as it should be with it. A number of people with that, and some extraordinary things. I'm doing something with a person right now that has multiple sclerosis. You know what a muscle wasting thing that is. Well, I talked to her, the mother, because the mothers always listen, because sometimes dads are a little hard-headed and dedicated into earning a living and doing those things, but mothers are the caregivers and nurturing. And I always like to say that how important they are in life. They're my mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, most important people in my life. And in battle, when a soldier is wounded in a foxhole, nobody screams out, Dad. No, they don't. They scream out, Mom. And because it's subconscious, it's psychological, it's underneath us, because we know the love and caring that moms give. So I talked to her, and I said, don't know if this will work or not, but I know what the conditions are that you're facing with that kind of thing. So I'd like to give you an experimental nutritional formulation. And I'm not talking about nutrition like eating around a diet, but specific things that could affect the biological system to pick it up and do things with it. So she went on with it with her son, and in a wheelchair. And then one day the son said to her, Mom, I can feel that I'm getting stronger, which, of course, that was a feeling. But, you know, when you're going down all the time like that, suddenly it's so profound that the child acknowledges it. And so I just said, keep on with it. And I added a couple of other things that I found along the way. And now they're doing, and this child has been under intense therapy, and in physical therapy and exercise, pools, can't walk, but doing things to prolong the situation the best they can. But now, for the first time, his strength tests and reaction times are improving quite a bit, where it absolutely should not be. They should be degrading, but now they're improving. Why? Because the biological systems are there, and certainly you have a genetic disease with multiple sclerosis, but God, in his infinite plan and the things that he's put on this earth, has put immense power in many types of sources that we have growing here on this earth. And if we had the knowledge and could extract them, we can do a great deal of good. And I'd come up with that knowledge and given it to them. So now what I'm going to do, I'll never have a treatment for multiple sclerosis, because I'd be executed by the FDA or the FTC. That's how they like to deal with someone that's really doing good. Of course, there's so much quackery in this business too with people, but I do recognize that we are the shining star in the sky. And so when I look at that now, how am I going to, if that works for somebody with MS, how about somebody that doesn't have MS? What could it do for them? And holy moly, wait till you see this one when we release it, and you're going to be, it'll blow you out of your gourd. But, you know, you're going to run out of gourds, because we got a lot of things that blow you out of your gourd. The hydrogen water, 3 or 4 years ago, I knew almost nothing about it. Now I know a great deal. And almost every few days, I'm astonished by another thing they've discovered it's done. So for me, I drink hydrogen water 2 or 3 times a day, if I remember to do it, because I know it. And I'm not, of course, I feel energy. I have more strength, more stamina, those things. But those are anecdotal things you can say. But for me, they are real, because I'm pragmatic, and I can see them happening, and I know they do. So the H2 stick is now part of my resume that I have, as well as, and the age pill, I'd never be without the age pill with that, and a bunch of others. I can go on and on with those, but some of them are very critical. Triangle of Life, brain vitality. I mean, just, there's a certain key one. What I'm going to do is concentrate at this convention on these key systems that will put you, it won't get you there, but it'll put you on the road towards immortality. And I think you can have your drop dead date. I watched a movie the other night, and a representative from Satan was there, and it was sort of a sci-fi one, and clever in some ways. And he met two guys, and they were pretty obnoxious individuals, and he was here for another purpose. But they said, well, we'll probably never see you again. And he said, oh, yeah, you'll see me. The one, he says, you'll see me at age 73. And he said the other one, and you'll see me in 3 months. But, we have a certain, depending on our genetics and our lifestyle and all those things that we do, we have a drop dead point. But let's move the goalposts. We can do that now. For the first time in history, well, of course, maybe the ancients could do it. They had a greater knowledge of these things, these God-given ingredients. But nonetheless, we can move those goal points. So if your drop dead date on an average person is 78, how about 128? Does that sound better? 150? I like that a lot. I'm shooting for those kind of goals, but I think before we get there, we'll be saying, well, 200's right there around the corner. So we're on the road to immortality. We may never make it to that destination, here, at least here on Earth, but I think we can go, if you start young enough, if you do it good enough, you can probably double, triple your lifespan. I believe, that's my opinion. And for those of us that are later in life, and well, if you have your potential left, say you had 20 years left and you'd be gone, how about another 50 or 60 years at a much younger age? See, those are the kinds of things we're talking about. And I must apologize. I get rambling, and maybe it's an age-related disease, I don't know. But I sometimes I don't get shut off because I just am so impassioned and empowered with this, and I see God's hand in it, and I see good people out there who sincerely want to do the right things, and we're fighting an uphill battle against big pharma, big medicine, who's you want to treat your symptoms, don't want to cure you because you're a customer rather than a person, and a government who wants to regulate you and tax you and drain you, and all that working against us. But you know what? That's one side. And to me, that's the evil side in those intentions. Now, some things are good in medicine. There's no doubt about that. And I have good friends that are doctors that do things that are worthwhile. But the real point is that's the one side. On the other side, because of the opposition, it is so suppressed. But fortunately, we've come to the point and learned how to do it. I'm in this business for 40 years. I'm going to be in this business for another 50 to 100 if I can have my way with it. And out of that, I've learned a great deal of the unmentionables that government and big pharma and big medicine don't want mentioned, don't want brought out unless they can control it. But because it's natural, they can't. But we found the ways to do it. And so we're trying to extrapolate that and translate it in terms that you can deal with legally, and you'll see the benefits. And maybe someday your son will say, hey, Mom, I think I'm getting stronger. Well, your dad, who may not have even been able to watch TV or read a newspaper because his dementia is so bad, will start conversations with you. That's already happened. And happened a number of times. I had a man hadn't spoke for 5 years and went on some of these products, and one day talked to his daughter and says, Svetlana was her name, says, Svetlana, why are you feeding me? She about collapsed because he hadn't said anything in all that period of time. And in the end, he came to she used to bring him and sit down at meetings, and he'd just sit there, and then she'd take him home. But at the last, he got up and made presentations at meetings. That's the kind of potential that our bodies has if we can do what the ancient Chinese said. The key to longevity and good health is to remove the toxins and the waste and to provide the types of nutrition that the body can use to maximize its effectiveness. So that's what we're doing. I can go on and on, DW. I'll turn the time back to you. And one bit of advice. You have some people, you have some shining stars that are out here from our mountain. They're going to come back loaded to the gills with information. So talk to those people, find out what they've learned, and learn how to use that in your lives. This will be a meeting like no other because of what we're going to present to them. We're going to take a bold risk, a big step forward. We think we can do it right with the way we've done it, but I'm going to try and empower you with the power of what we're doing so you can truly see the results of it for you, your loved ones, and others around you, and then benefit from it financially and in many other ways too. So this is quite a meeting. I'm looking forward to it, but I hope I haven't overdone it, but I'm going to try and make it the most effective it can be. So anyway, back to you, DW.